All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
Hey, good morning, Tony.
Morning.
Delayed response.
I had myself muted.
It's the Mark Thompson Show. I'm Kim McAllister, in for Mark Thompson, who is on a cruise ship, a 3-week-long cruise in South America. I got to tell you, Tony, this guy does not know how to vacation.
No.
I told him.
He called in yesterday.
I know. He can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. I'm like, dude.
Emails from him this morning.
When you're on vacation, the whole point is that you check out mentally, right? You completely check out so that you revitalize your soul. No, it's not.
See, I could say, but I do the exact same thing. I'm even worse. I bring my full editing rig, and I'm vacationing with the rig and computers.
No,
I don't stop ever. So
see?
I'm just as bad.
Come on,
if not
you
worse.
guys. Yeah. So Mark Thompson is on vacation, but he's still calling us every day. He seems to be having fun though. He is having pasta late at night on a daily situation. He is
Nothing
also
wrong with that.
He went dancing. He and Courtney went dancing. So that was fun, right? I hope he comes back a bit more well rested. We'll see how that works out. But I'm excited about this show. First of all, right out of the gate, David Cay Johnston awaits. He is amazing, and the conversations with him on politics always top notch. So we'll do that in just a moment. Also, right after David Cay Johnston, I'm really excited to welcome Jake Shimabukuro to the show. He's really cool. He plays the ukulele, and he's also a virtuoso. You wouldn't necessarily put those two things together, but wait till you see him play the ukulele. It is a jaw-dropping moment where you're like, how do fingers even move that fast? So he's coming up 11:30. We'll talk to Jake. He's got a couple of concerts, one in Napa, one in Carmel by the sea, another in Sacramento. So we'll talk to Jake about being in our region, in our at least my region, our Bay Area. I'll talk to him about that. Okay. Please click the like button. Please click the subscribe button. I'd be remiss if I didn't direct you to the website, themarkthompsonshow.com, which is where the PayPal and the Patreon and all that business is. So thank you for all the ways that you support our show. Let's bring in, as we speak, David Cay Johnston to talk politics. Good morning, David Cay Johnston.
Well, good afternoon from back here in
that's right.
Rochester, New York.
I have to ask you about the bookcase behind you because I noticed it last week. It looks like either you're having to write more books to fill that bad boy up or you're moving.
No, well, we were away on vacation in Europe. There was a leaking water pipe found.
Oh, no.
And they had to rebuild the bookcases behind me, paint the room, put in a new carpet, and we are just now beginning to take the books out of the banker's boxes and put them up on the shelf.
Okay. There's a story there. That's cool. Well, I'm glad that things are being fixed and are on the mend. It looks really pretty. It looks like they did a great job.
Yeah, they did. They're excellent contractor.
Let's jump right into politics because yesterday, the special prosecutor decided that he's going to bypass any type of appeals court and wants to go straight to the Supreme Court for a decision on whether or not presidential immunity applies in the federal elections case against Donald Trump as far as elections interference. Well, I wonder, does it seem to you that this should have been an issue decided well before this?
Oh, yes, but the reality is that Merrick Garland was slow to appoint a special prosecutor, and Jack Smith has been very aggressive but very careful not to open any prospect for Donald Trump of being able to claim error. In this matter, Trump contends that anything he did as president is covered by presidential immunity. That's absurd. If that's the case, as president, he could shoot and kill somebody. And after all, he said, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and not lose a vote.
Right. Not new for him.
And be held to account for it.
Right.
So the issue here is in telling the crowd to go to the Capitol and not doing anything for more than 3 hours to stop the insurrection as people were calling for killing his vice president, Mike Pence, Nancy Pelosi, and others. Was that an official act of the president? And Trump says, of course it is. I have the absolute right to do that. And besides, I said to him, go in peace. Yeah, right. After you riled them all up, you threw in that little line. Now, the Supreme Court has rules that allow a direct appeal if you can show that a matter is of overwhelming public importance. And the overwhelming issues of public importance here are first and foremost that the people, you and I, are entitled to a speedy trial. Mm-hmm. And that if this doesn't move forward, Trump could undo his prosecution if he gets back to the White House. So I fully expect the Supreme Court will act pretty quickly on this. Trump has until next Wednesday to file why the court shouldn't hear the case, not the merits of it, but why they shouldn't hear it. It'll be fascinating to see what cockamamie nonsense his lawyers come up with. And then the court will decide whether it needs to hear arguments or not. But I expect Trump will lose because earlier, Chief Justice of the United States, John Roberts, in an opinion where Trump tried to avoid subpoenas, held that right up top, that the courts are entitled to every man's evidence. The president is not a king. He is as accountable as anyone else. So I fully expect the court, at least by a 7-2 vote, it is possible that Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito will oppose it, will support the government's motion. It would be very good for the Republic if Chief Justice Roberts can produce a unanimous decision by the court.
Here's the question, though. You say by a 7-2 vote, but this is a court that swings conservatively, that seems to go with, whatever conservatives are looking for. I don't have faith that they'll do what's right here.
Well, first of all, evading law enforcement is not a conservative principle. Mm-hmm. I don't care for the jurisprudence of Justice Neil Gorsuch, and I've written critically about him, but he is a principled man. Right. I just don't like his view of the world. There's no way that Justice Gorsuch is going to go along. And to accept Jack Smith's plea, 5 of 9 justices had to agree they were going to hear it. So we already know there's a majority who think this is worthy of going directly to the Supreme Court.
Right.
And by the way, I don't consider Clarence Thomas and Alito to be conservatives. They're authoritarians on the bench. Yeah. Clarence Thomas, who I've said on the show before, is well qualified to be a traffic court judge, and I don't mean to insult traffic court judges. Mm-hmm. There's no business being there. Yeah. But the court has been pretty clear about the institutions of the government, and I can't see any prospect under which this court would throw the American democracy under the bus as a favor to Donald Trump.
Also, along the same lines, Smith says he's got a cell phone or cell phone records that he wants to bring forward and use. And so I guess the same question would be applicable. And that is then, if you're going to argue presidential immunity, then any phone, cell phone, landline technology that you used while you were a sitting president of the United States, would that then fall under presidential immunity?
Well, that would fall under rules of evidence. And Trump would certainly try to argue that this is part of presidential immunity. I think it's reasonable to believe, now that we know Donald Trump spilled the beans about how close our submarines can get to Russian submarines, something that as taxpayers we have invested billions upon billions of dollars in developing super silent submarines with screws, propellers, that don't produce air bubbles and are very, very quiet. To have given this information to this Australian businessman, along with a lot of other secrets, if you think that's the only time Donald Trump did that, I think you are gullible enough that I'll offer to sell you the Brooklyn Bridge. It's who Donald is. He's been that way his whole life. There is no muffler on him. whatever comes into his mind. I thought it was put pretty well by Mitt Romney the other day. He's like a human gumball machine. You put in a thought or a penny, and out comes the gumball or the whatever thought is on his mind. And I'm certain that there are serious national security crimes Donald Trump has committed since leaving the White House for which he can never be prosecuted, because to do so would reveal sources and methods. How did we learn that? Who did we learn it from?
Drives me crazy.
And we're not going to do that. I mean, we still keep some sources and methods secret from World War II. I don't know about World War I, but I know there are some we keep secret from World War II, which ended almost 80 years ago.
Smith seems to, by asking for the Supreme Court to weigh in and weigh in quickly, is that a bit of bravado on his part? Like he's so sure that they'll come down on his, that he's like, give it to me. Yeah.
This kid, the filing by Jack Smith demonstrates his total confidence in what he's doing. Yeah. And he's also added to his team a fellow whose name I would mispronounce, so I'll let it go, but a fellow who for years, decades, was the Deputy Solicitor General for criminal matters, who has argued more than 100 times in front of the Supreme Court. So this is a guy who not only knows the relevant law, but he knows how to frame an argument for this court.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump and his clown car of lawyers are simply no match for the best prosecutors the Justice Department has, led by Jack Smith. They're just not a match. The only thing they can do is muddy the waters, delay, try to do anything possible. And, here's an irony. If Donald Trump really thinks that he's innocent, he should be demanding a speedy trial. Yep. I want to go to trial right now.
But it's not. It's delay. That's the tactic.
If he's innocent, and he will have humiliated Jack Smith, and frankly would probably be assured getting back into the White House. So why is Trump fighting and delaying all of these things? And the answer is obvious. Donald knows perfectly well he's committed the 91 crimes he's accused of and many more, and he doesn't want to be in front of a jury. And by the way, in the civil case in New York, he was going to testify yesterday.
Yeah.
I had said in various forums, I think on this show, that he will testify. Mm-hmm. He had been called originally as a witness by the New York State Attorney General and was shown to have made a number of false statements in that testimony. He was to then be called by his own side so that he could lay out a narrative. The problem with that is that once they've laid out the narrative, the State Attorney General's office gets to cross-examine him.
Yeah.
Donald can't keep his lies straight. If you tell the truth all the time, it's not very hard to keep things straight. But when you lie, it becomes very difficult. And Donald would have put himself in a position of a perjury rap. That's a criminal offense. He would have undermined his own case by coming up with his nonsense behavior. So I never thought there would be one. And interestingly, his lawyer, Ms. Haba, did something very bizarre in a broadcast interview. She broke attorney-client privilege. She said that she had given her client, Donald Trump, certain advice and he didn't follow it. You can get disbarred for that. I don't know if that single incident will do so, but it's indicative of how none of the highly competent criminal defense lawyers, people like Abby Lowell or Ty Cobb, will touch Donald Trump. And not just because Trump has a history of not paying people, but because they know that this would be awful for their careers and reputations.
Right. So at one point, you say, well, if you're rich and you have the best money that lawyers can buy, that's, then the legal system is in the palm of your hand. Unless you're a pariah with all the money in the world, no one wants to touch you with a 10-foot pole.
Right. And by the way, it's now come out through documents, two interesting things. Trump, in fact, has been using the money people are sending to his PAC to pay part of his legal bills. Mm-hmm. And the witness he had, an eminent professor of accounting at New York University, who said that Donald Trump's financial statements were the finest sort of documents of their kind he'd ever seen. He was paid $900,000 by Donald Trump. And his testimony was absolute nonsense. I mean, Trump, in some cases, inflated the values of things from what his own appraisers said 30 and 40 times. This is I think, a very clear case of bought and sold testimony.
Yep.
By someone who's amenable to that. Everybody can't be bought, but Donald just needs to find people who can be, and he apparently succeeded with this professor.
You had mentioned that, Donald Trump was, I don't know, I guess his bravado, the way he speaks and everything. And over the weekend, he was talking about, he was at a Young Republicans convention and he was comparing himself to Al Capone. And he had also then bashed Bill Barr during the same speech. Then I was looking at this article about a former Mar-a-Lago employee who had turned witness against Donald Trump and left his job. And he was one of the ones that was moving boxes of documents around the property. And apparently after he quit, he was contacted by two of the other staffers at Mar-a-Lago who showed up at his gym, who showed up places. And it just smacked of intimidation and kind of that whole mob mentality where you show up and, you bring the heavy. I wonder if you have any words about that.
Well, we don't know if they were trying to cajole him or threaten him. That's, I think, first of all, I need to establish that's not clear, but this is absolutely improper. Trump is, in fact, under orders in other cases, not in the one in Florida, unfortunately, I believe. I could be wrong about this, but to not be in contact with people likely to be witnesses. That's not going to have any effect on Donald. He'll find proxies like people who work for him. And that's part of why Donald makes all these threatening comments about Judge Engoron's clerk, about Jack Smith's wife and children, because he is trying to intimidate potential jurors and witnesses. You cross me and I will hit you 15 times, as he wrote in one of his books, talking about either Paula Poundstone or Rosie O'Donnell. And any other criminal defendant in America would be remanded, that is, held in prison, in jail, awaiting trial based on his conduct. I think he's trying to provoke a judge to do that, figuring it will get him political sympathy, because all of his public attacks on the system, they're not legal arguments. They are political arguments. And if the American public is dumb enough to not distinguish between those, then we're going to choose that that's the end of our democracy. I just don't believe that the people who vote in this country, including people who may have never voted before but are going to turn out, are so stupid. And by the way, if you're listening to this show and you think, well, I'm with Donald and I'm okay, you don't know anything about authoritarianism, because who are among the people Stalin killed, the millions of people he killed, were people in his inner circle. Hitler had people in his inner circle killed. Pol Pot. This is what dictators do. They have to, in order to maintain fear, and because they don't have trust. They cannot develop trust with people because of what they do. And in these cases, every single known witness is a Republican. Many of them are appointees of Donald Trump. And the reality is that this isn't a Democratic cabal going after him. It's his people, his appointees. Jack Smith's office interviewed every single senior national security person who dealt with Trump about the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. Put them all under oath. And every single one of them said, they told Trump, there's no fraud, you lost fair and square.
Right.
That's how thorough they have been in this matter. So, the important thing is that he needs to go to trial before the election. The best case for him to go to trial would be the Florida case, but there he has the judge who wrote in her first opinion in the case that he deserves special treatment, which is a rather blatant violation of her oath of office and of our Constitution. But she's still in charge of the case, and she's running interference for Donald Trump.
Before we move on, a question from the chat from Andrew, who writes, you really think Kavanaugh and Amy Barrett will rule against him being Trump?
Well, I would expect that with Kavanaugh. Amy Coney Barrett, I just don't know enough about. She has very little track record to follow. But you can be sure that in their debates within the court, that Chief Justice Roberts is going to emphasize that we must uphold the rule of law, we must defend the criminal system. We must defend the courts.
Mm-hmm.
And you only need 5 votes, and we've already got 5 votes to hear the case. The 2 I worry about are Scalia and Thomas, both of whom are financially corrupt.
Right.
Both of whom have an arrogance that is extraordinary, even for a Supreme Court justice. So, we'll find out when they rule,
Yeah.
which will presumably be later this month or early in January, on whether they need to have a hearing at all, or they can simply, without a hearing, establish that no, Trump does not have immunity per se for everything he did in the White House.
If they rule that he does, all these cases are toast, right? From the documents case to everything. The only thing that would be the fraud case going on in New York, because that's separate.
No, even if they rule that he has immunity, the Mar-a-Lago case was filed in Florida instead of Washington because events happened there and Trump falsely testified. It would have, I think, little to no effect on the Atlanta case, because that was a conspiracy involving many players that continued long past the January 20th of 2021 when Biden took office. And there are elements of the January 6th case that would continue because some of the things Trump did were after January 6th, but it would be a severely compromised case. And I don't think the Engoron case would be affected at all. But it's just the people who are on the Supreme Court, except for Thomas for sure and arguably Scalia, are not craven. It's like people who go around, the Koch brothers, of which there's one of the 2 leading brothers still alive, they're just totally corrupt and craven. No, actually, they're not. They have a set of principles that most people don't like and shouldn't like if they are self-interested, but they do pursue those principles. And that's an important element to keep in mind here. And you can just rest assured, John Glover Roberts Jr. is going to be saying to the court, we have to look out for the long-term effect of this and the principles of having an independent judiciary and independent prosecutors.
Let's move on to something that you brought to my attention, which is the North Korean shells that apparently were sent to Russia. By us? By who? By what?
No,
they're misfiring,
so
they're bad things? What's happening?
Well, there are all these sanctions that the Biden administration has put on Russia, and most sanctions are just cosmetic. They don't have any impact. These have had real impact on Russia. They haven't been 100% effective, but compared to the tiny, dinged you a little, Putin's getting hammered here. So he arranged to get artillery shells from North Korea, which has the 4th biggest army in the world, and an impoverished population. And the Russian soldiers have been firing these off. Now, when you fire modern artillery, there's all sorts of mathematical formulations that go into this so that you take into account the wind, the trajectory, where the person is you're trying to hit, or the group of soldiers.
Right.
And the charge in the shell has to have a predictable level of power. Well, these shells are so badly done, they're going all over the place. And Russian frontline soldiers are complaining about this. And we know this because the Russian army doesn't have sophisticated encrypted communications like the American army and the NATO countries. They speak over telephone lines that can be listened into. Plus, all these soldiers are allowed to have their cell phones, and they call home to mama or their girlfriend or their boyfriend.
Yeah.
And the Ukrainians and the NATO countries and the U.S., we listen into this stuff.
Yeah.
And they are bitterly complaining that about a quarter of these shells are next to useless, and some of them they think expose them. And by the way, when you fire off your artillery piece, HIMARS, if you're on the West, you now have disclosed to the other side your location. You better pack up and move real fast or you're gone. So understandably, the Potemkin army of the Kremlin is deeply worried about this. And there's an unfortunate political aspect to this. The Republicans in Congress, who were the party of the Red Scare, McCarthyism, there's communists all over the government, there's communists in Hollywood. They have now aligned themselves with the Kremlin. They are now the best friends Putin has. Russian state television. There is no independent television journalism in Russia. There is some online and print, although those people are at risk of getting killed every day, and a lot of them have been, or imprisoned. Russian state television has Putin bragging about how the Republicans are helping us defeat Ukraine. And it appears very clear that the Republicans don't care. They have no principle about liberty and freedom anymore. They used to always say, we're the party of liberty and freedom. Not anymore. And if I can shift gears, look what just happened to Kate Cox in Texas. A trial court judge in Austin, Travis County, rules that because her fetus isn't viable and she could and has a high chance of ending up unable to conceive again, and she wants more children, could have an abortion despite the Texas law. Ken Paxton, the indicted Attorney General of Texas, goes to the Texas Supreme Court, which says, it's not for us to question the wisdom of the legislature. She can't have an abortion. That is, if the legislature passes a law that says, well, you die because you got raped by a stranger, your father, your brother, your uncle, tough luck. If the pregnancy goes bad, you may die. We have no mercy. We don't have any regard for human life. All we care about is the letter of the law. And one of the key things I teach my students, and remember, I'm not a lawyer, but I do teach law and have for many years, is that all decent laws have a mercy clause because the law cannot anticipate every situation. So you always have to have an escape route for the circumstances that no one could predict. And this woman fits them to a T.
Right.
She wants to have more children. So what the Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas, and the Texas Supreme Court have declared themselves is to be anti-life. Because if she can't get pregnant again, then they're anti-life, and that they have an utter disregard for the lives of women. If men had to worry about dying in childbirth every time they had sex, I suspect the world would operate a little differently. And I say this as the father of 8 children who, during the 6th and 8th pregnancies, different wives, death was an absolute real possibility.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, it seems awfully cruel. This seems awfully cruel to this woman. And now she's packed up and left the state so that she can deal with her health.
Cruelty is the point. Cruelty is absolutely the point. A bunch of people posted on my X Twitter and Threads feeds, well, she shouldn't have been irresponsible. It had nothing to do with being irresponsible.
She wanted the baby.
People.
Right.
You expect the Supreme Court of Texas to be better than that. They didn't even say, we wish we could provide you with relief, but we can't. They didn't do that at all. Their opinion is just awful. And what is the point of a democracy if not to allow people to live their lives, to have freedom and liberty?
And is this what the people of Texas wanted?
I don't know. They elected these folks.
One wonders, and I don't know if that means that women who vote will make a change in Texas next time. Because if you see a highly publicized case like this, where a woman is being treated inhumanely, that can't be what we as women want for ourselves.
I would agree with you. I mean, there are a lot of women who are leaders of the movement that say no abortions, whatever, but they are a tiny minority of the population of women in this country. They do exist, and they've made themselves prominent. I think the underlying problem is that I've written for decades about how we've had a severe collapse in moral standards in this country. My focus was on all the lawyers and accountants who, in return for enormous fees, were willing to come up with sham tax shelters to help executives and business owners avoid the law. And a lot of these people lost their law licenses. Some of them went to prison. There are people who, when money is big enough, will completely abandon their moral principles and their scruples, especially if they think there's little risk to them. But at the end of the day, it's voters who make these decisions. All 3 of my economics books, best-selling economics books, ended with a line saying, if you don't like this stuff, it's on you. You're the voters. You may not have voted for these people, but as a class, voters did.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a lot of criticism from people. So, well, you're being unfair. I mean, there's this whole system. No, I'm not. At least in my humble opinion, or unhumble opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like the government, vote in a new group of people. And you may find out they're not quite what you want either, so vote in others. But if you don't pay any attention, if you don't vote, if you allow a system where politicians have to depend on an extraordinarily thin and super rich slice of donors, then you're going to get a Congress that doesn't represent what concerns you. We have the power to change all of this, but you got to register to vote. You got to make sure your registration went through. You got to show up on election day if you want things to work.
As they say, America gets the America it deserves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. David Cay Johnston, thank you for being here. You are a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist and author and a friend of the show, and I couldn't be happier to see you. Have a great rest of your day.
Look forward to seeing you next week.
Bye. From politics, we'll go straight to, how about some joy? Because this guy, Tony, you don't normally hear these two phrases in the same sentence, virtuoso and ukulele. But I'm telling you, I am such a fan. I'm such a huge fan of Jake Shimabukuro. There are times, Tony, where I'll watch one video because I feel like listening to something by Jake, and then I go down this YouTube rabbit hole, and I just I can spend hours listening to him play different song after different song.
This stuff's good.
And so I took a chance and I reached out to his publicity people when I knew that he was coming to the Bay Area to perform, and they said, "Sure, you can interview Jake Shimabukuro." And I thought, really? I can? Let's bring him right on. It's Jake Shimabukuro, everybody. Hey!
Hi, Kim. How are you doing? Thank you so
How
much.
are you?
Tony, what's up, man?
You are so awesome. I know people probably stop you and tell you this all the time, but you are a bringer of joy, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, that's always the goal, and the instrument has brought me so much joy over the years, and it just that it can bring more people that, I think as the popularity of the instrument grows, I mean, that's just awesome. I think it's just what the world needs.
So the ukulele, we have, by the way, this is a ukulele house. We have melee ukuleles over here, but my husband plays, my daughter plays, my son plays. So this is a big ukulele music house over here. But you've taken ukulele from Hawaiian music and you've kind of brought it mainstream, where you've not only are a composer and have written music, but you also cover a lot of songs that have nothing to do with Hawaiian music. And in doing so, you kind of bring the ukulele, which you've called the underdog of instruments, into the mainstream realm.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. I mean, I love all different styles of music. And of course, traditional music will always be my, is what I'm grounded in, because that's what I was first exposed to on the instrument. But yeah, I love everything, and I love exposing myself to different styles of music. But I think that, I don't know, I think that there is something, about the instrument in recent years. There's been people like, of course, Israel Kamakawiwo Ole, who had his version of Over the Rainbow that appeared in a lot of these, huge Hollywood films and commercials. And then you had bands like Train, with Hey Soul Sister, or Eddie Vedder doing his ukulele, album, and with Paul McCartney and Taylor Swift and Billie Eilish, bringing ukulele into their music and introducing that to their supporters. I mean, that's so awesome. I'm a fan of the ukulele first, so when I see stuff like that, I get so excited, because it's just I don't know. I think that instrument just is so special and brings so much joy to people, and so the more eyes and ears that it can get in front of, I think makes the world a better place,
So you start with ukulele, but do you also play other instruments as well?
No, well, I mean, I played in the marching band. I did drums, and and I've always had it. I don't know. I tried other instruments. I took piano lessons, I took guitar lessons, but none of them really stuck. But the
Right.
ukulele was the instrument that I was first introduced to, and my mom played, so that's how I got into it.
Yeah.
And she, yeah, I mean, I was 4 years old when I first picked it up and played my first chord, and I just fell in love with it. I was just hooked. And as you know, Kim, right, it's like the easiest instrument to learn.
Right.
If you've never played an instrument before, you can teach someone a song in literally just a few minutes, right?
Yeah.
They learn a couple chords and they're already playing a song. So I think that instant gratification of being able to learn something so quickly really resonates with people, especially people who are intimidated of playing an instrument. They feel like, I don't have any musical talent, but you give them an ukulele and they're like, oh, this is kind of fun, and they're like, oh, wow, I can do this. And I think that, that's where that joy comes from.
And then they see a video of you playing the ukulele and they think, I thought I could do this until I saw that guy play. And then I realized, no, that's the way to play the ukulele. That's incredible. And I was going to ask you a question about why the ukulele called to you, why that was your instrument, but I'm guessing it's because you heard your mom play it and that it was part of you growing up, because it's always that, I don't know, that's something that we grew up with, that's nostalgic to us, that means something to us, that we are interested in.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, my mom used to play it for me all the time, and my mom has a beautiful singing voice, so she would play and sing to me and my little brother as well. But I was also born and raised in Hawaii, so the ukulele is such a big part of the culture there.
Yeah.
So we see it everywhere. I mean, I didn't realize, like, I just thought everybody around the world like played the ukulele, because even in school, like we learned it in school, like in the fourth and fifth grade, we had programs. And but I started when I started traveling, I realized that it was not a very common instrument, for a lot of people. Like people would ask me all the time, like what got you into the ukulele? Like so surprised that I play the ukulele, but for us growing up, it was more surprising living in Hawaii. If you met someone who never played an ukulele,
sure.
Like, what do you mean you never played it? So it was a little different, once I started traveling outside.
It's funny because I know you're from Hawaii, and I had to laugh when I saw you pop up on screen because you're wearing a winter scarf and a snow hat, which is funny to see a guy from Hawaii dressed for winter. But right now you're on tour, and I think, are you in Michigan right now? Where are you?
We're actually in St. Louis. Yeah.
Okay.
We're in St. Louis right now, and it's pretty cool. Whenever we're, anything below 70 for me is like freezing. So
that's so funny.
I just can't handle the cold weather. But so as soon as I get into a hotel room, I mean, the first thing I do is I go to the thermostat and I just like, I keep hitting the up
You're
button,
so funny.
I get warm, for me. But,
well, this career that you find yourself in has led to you on international tours all over the place, and you have branched out and seen the world, and you're finding different temperatures, different cultures. What are some of the favorite places that you've been to when you've gone on tour?
I mean, it's I never imagined that I'd be doing what I'm doing today. I mean, it's been such a blessing, and I'm so grateful, because I get to meet such extraordinary people and go to incredible places. And not that I've been everywhere, but I've definitely been to a lot more countries than I could have ever imagined, going to. And the thing that I love most is that even though I don't speak the language, or I'm not familiar with the culture, it's like music seems to transcend all of that. And you feel these instant connections with people that you've never met, and you don't really know much about each other, but somehow through music, we're able to communicate and develop a relationship, because at the end of the show, when we're doing a meet and greet after the show, and people are coming up to me and just, and there's just this excitement and enthusiasm and this love and joy, and this, it's just incredible, so so it's something I definitely don't take for granted. I mean, I love it. I love performing because it allows, because there's something that happens, I think, when you're in a room or in a hall with people, and you're all experiencing something at the same time. It's synergistic, right? It's there's a synergy there that's why it's not the same like if I'm just sitting in my room and playing.
Right.
It's this collaborative effort with everyone and their energy, and everyone just kind of enjoying something together that makes the experience so much greater, right, than one person. And I love that. It's almost addictive, in a way, and being able to experience that with people, every night in our travels. And it's so moving. I mean, sometimes it's so emotional. Like you would never think like the ukulele would be something that can really draw very heavy and deep emotion, from people. But it does. It's amazing.
I think anything beautiful does that. And when you play, it's so, so beautiful. You are coming to the Napa, Uptown Theater in Napa. You will be in my region, which is the wine country, at the Uptown Theater in Napa on December 16th. Then you're going to the Crest Theater in Sacramento, December 18th. That's not too far of a drive. And I was looking for the date. You're coming to Carmel. Did you already do your Carmel date?
Carmel is on the 17th. Yeah, December.
On the 17th.
The day after Napa.
So there's a lot of people that are in this region that are listening, but go to the internet, search Jake's name, Jake Shimabukuro. You'll see the whole list of wherever he's performing. So wherever you're listening, there's got to be a place near you where you can find him. But I'm so excited. And one of the things I noticed is your tickets are priced in a way that makes it really accessible to go see a show. So you have prices anywhere from, I saw $29 all the way up, to 200 and something. But it means that people that maybe, can't afford to go see a Beyonce concert or a Taylor Swift concert, they can go see a Jake Shimabukuro concert and they can have a really good time.
Oh, well, I just have to say, if you're listening, make sure you keep your expectations low after this.
No, don't keep your expectations low. Absolutely not. No. You know what's interesting about, and I don't, maybe this is how I found you, I'm not sure, but it was right here on YouTube, a video that went viral that kind of kickstarted your rise to fame. And it was the video of you playing While My Guitar Gently Weeps. And that was back in 2006. And that thing took off like a rocket. And once it did, that kind of led to what you're doing now. So I guess the question about that is, was it the best thing that ever happened to you, that viral video? Or did you even want it to go viral? What are your thoughts about YouTube and these kind of videos and the way that you achieved, something that you should have been noticed for all along?
Oh, no, I'm so grateful. Yeah, I'm so great. At that time, because this was like end of 2005, early 2006. Oh, there's that video.
There he is.
And I, so this was actually, someone pulled this from a local TV show that I did. It was like an interview for a program called Ukulele Disco. And they asked me a few questions, and we were in New York because I was out there doing a show.
Yeah.
And so they interviewed me. We went to Central Park, and then at the time they said, "Hey, can you just play a song for us, to close out the show?" And I said, "Oh, sure." So I was working on this George Harrison arrangement that I'm playing, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, because George Harrison I was such a huge fan. I am such a huge fan of his music. And he also loved the ukulele. That was his favorite instrument. And so I was like, wow, we're right next to Strawberry Fields. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, George Harrison song. And I played it. And then, it appeared on that local TV show. And then I went back home to Hawaii. And then a few months later, some friends of mine started emailing me and saying, hey, there's this video of you playing in Central Park that's kind of going around campus, because I had some friends that were going to school on the East Coast and stuff. I was like, really? I was like, what? So they sent me this email, because you got to remember now, this was back in early 2006. So
right.
nobody really knew what YouTube was, or you
Hmm.
couldn't even send someone a video. Remember back then, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you had to like have some kind of program and
Yeah.
whatever. But anyway, so he said, yeah, I'm gonna forward this email to you. Just click on this. I don't even know if they called it a link back then, but they said just
Mhm.
click on the numbers or the letters or whatever. So I
Yeah.
clicked on it and went to this screen, and then there I was playing. I was like, how did that? What? I don't understand. And then so I guess around that time, right, YouTube was getting popular, and other sites like YouTube were getting popular. So people were taking this video and posting it and reposting it and reposting it. And so it was funny because the original video that went viral didn't even have my name on it. I mean, I see I still remember when I opened up that file, it just said Asian guy shreds on ukulele. That was the title of the of the video. I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is so cool. But but because of that video, it just opened up all these opportunities, and I started getting asked by other bands to come and
Mhm.
join them on tour and play on other recordings, play at these festivals, and it just opened
Yeah.
up the whole world to me, because prior to that I was mainly just playing in Hawaii and in Japan. My career kind of started in Hawaii and Japan, so I was kind
Mhm.
of going back and forth between those two places. But yeah, in 2006, when that video went viral, like I started having all these opportunities to play in all these other places, and it was so
So cool.
cool. I mean, I just, yeah, I had to pinch myself. I still pinch myself every once in a while. I'm like, is this really happening?
This is really happening to the point where there's now a documentary about your life story. How
Oh,
does that feel? Like they have this Jake Shimabukuro life on four strings,
oh, yeah.
and here people are so interested that they're telling your life story in this documentary. Is it weird to look at that and go, why are people so interested in who I am and where I've come from? Or do you get now that you're this international superstar?
Oh, no, no, definitely not. I just yeah, that documentary was so much fun. I just remember my family being so like not upset, but they were, because I basically had
Hmm.
cameras. It was Tadashi Nakamura was the director, and we worked with CAM, which is the Center for uh, Asian American Media, and they hired Tad, and our friend Don Young was a producer, and they basically followed me around for over 2 years with cameras. We went everywhere. They came on tour with
Oh,
me. They
wow.
came to Hawaii. They filmed me
Yeah.
at my home, and just like I mean, it was so crazy, to
Mm.
see to be a part of that. But it was during that time in my life. So that documentary, it doesn't feel like it was this long ago, but that was actually 12 years ago when that
Mhm.
documentary came out. And it just happened to be like a 2 or 3 year period of my life where I was going through so many different things, like my my touring career was really starting to evolve, and I had gotten married. I had we then my wife and I was just about to have our first child.
Mhm.
um there was the tsunami earthquake incident in Japan, and so all of those things. And my manager at the time, Kazusa, was actually from Sendai, where a lot of the devastation had taken place.
Yeah.
So there was a lot going on, and at the so I think reflecting back and seeing all those things, like it just being able to capture all of that,
Mhm.
in a very authentic and real way, because
Yeah.
it was just happening all in real time. So
Yeah.
it was very special, I think, to kind of to capture that, not just about me, but for me, like all the things that were going on, in my family's life as well. It's really nice to go back and
Yeah.
oh yeah, my
Oh.
my my wife she did not want to do the interview for this.
Oh, she's so pretty though. You guys are cute.
Like, no, no, I don't want to. I don't want to be on.
That's awesome. So you mentioned destruction, devastation when you mentioned the earthquake and tsunami, and it made me think of the wildfire on Maui and what happened in Lahaina.
Mhm.
And I wonder, ask you because you're from the state of Hawaii. What do you know about whether they still need help and what people can do? And what have what's your involvement and your efforts been in raising relief funds for the victims of that wildfire?
Yeah, I mean, there's just such a wide spectrum, right, of
Hmm.
what needs to be done. I mean, I'm no expert in the field. But it's going to be I know it's going to be a long time,
Hmm.
that road to recovery. It's so tragic to think about all the lives that were lost and and just, we're never going to get that place back, right?
No.
And,
Mm-mm.
but I think that, I've been supporting the Maui Strong Fund, which
Yep.
is a fund that's supported by the
Yeah.
Hawaii Community
Yeah.
Foundation, and I've been kind of telling people, I think that's one way that you can support. There's a lot of different ways, but I know that the Hawaii Community Foundation has been, they're very they're on the ground, right?
Hmm.
They are reaching out to all the different communities and the different families and groups that need uh, a certain kind of support or care,
Hmm.
and and to have someone like that be able to kind of hover and put the funds to where they need
Yeah.
to go, is very, very um, is very powerful, and I know it's a lot of that's a lot of pressure, to put on anyone. I remember
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and a lot of times when we do these kinds of things and we try to support, these types of uh, tragedies, and we put our money into a fund. We a lot of times we don't think about it, but I know sometimes we think like, okay, especially if it's something like far away from our community, but we
Hmm.
still want to help and support, so we write a check or we give money. But then I realized too, like, how much pressure that can put on
Yeah.
an organization like that, right, to be responsible and to have to carry that weight and be like, okay, all these people are trusting that we're going to
Yeah.
distribute the funds and do our best to help these, so it is it's a really tough situation, but I feel like they're really
Yeah.
managing and doing an incredible job, so um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not easy, I mean, and there's so many people out there suffering right now, and I just, it's just not, we all just have to, I feel like if every single person out there could just do one thing a day, to help bring a little bit of joy into one person's life or into one family's life, or
Hmm.
to do just what, whatever we can do for our own community, if we can all just do one thing every day, to
Yeah.
do that, I think that goes a long way. And you know that's what my grandma used to tell me, it's like those little things, right? Like, say you, even when you're driving and
Yeah.
someone's in the wrong lane and they're trying to get
Yeah.
into your lane, like, don't speed up, just slow
Yeah.
down, let them go. You
Yeah.
never know what they're going through, and just that one gesture might make them feel like, oh, and then they make it to wherever they were
Yeah.
trying to get to, and that is life changing for them,
Right.
right? Which impacts other people around them, or just even at the grocery store, someone looks like they're in a rush and you let them go ahead of you, and just that little gesture, like, can make such a tremendous
It's
impact.
aloha. It's all about the aloha. I'm
Yeah,
telling you. Yeah. Um, I was hoping that you would play a little something for us, but I don't even know if you have your ukulele handy.
I'm so sorry, Kim. I don't have it with me, unfortunately.
So
Yeah,
you guys in the chat, you're just gonna have to trust me when I say he is incredible, like absolutely incredible.
oh, no, no.
Yeah, and so I'm so excited that you're going to be here, that you're coming to Napa's Uptown Theater. You'll be in Carmel, you'll be in Sacramento the 16th, 17th, and 18th of December. I saw someone in the chat say they're on the wait list for the Carmel show. So it looks like your shows are selling out, that people are wanting to go see. So I'm so happy to know that there's this level of interest in, going to see your shows. It makes me really happy to see you sell out wherever you go.
Oh, thank you, Kim. No,
Yeah.
I'm really excited. These shows are all kind of holiday themed shows. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so we'll do a handful of holiday songs. So that's our friend Justin Kavika Young. He's an amazing singer-songwriter. So he's been coming out with us. He's also from Hawaii, and we started out our careers together. So he's been out with us and doing some holiday songs, and he's just fantastic. He toured with Kobe Calais for over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Amazing. But yeah, so we're excited. We're doing some of that, and then of course we're doing some non-holiday songs too. But
Mm-hmm.
the whole theme of this tour, it's called Grateful, the Grateful Tour. So it's really about just kind of living a life with gratitude, and
Yeah.
especially during the holiday season. And there's a Japanese word that I usually say at every show, and it's ichigo ichie, which means once in a lifetime. But it has to do with people kind of coming together and recognizing that this moment will never happen in the exact same way again. So
Yeah.
it truly is special, and it reminds me to be present and to be in the moment, and to just be very appreciative, for what we have, because especially during this time of year, we see family members that we
Yeah.
haven't seen all year, and we just never know when we're going to see each other again, right? So we never want to take that for granted.
And that's the beauty of a live music too, and a live performance like yours is, I would imagine that maybe it's similar, but every single one is different because the audience is different, and your thoughts and your feelings are different at that moment. So it's all this, this unique thing that happens on stage every night.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always different.
Yeah.
You're just,
Yeah.
and every night is filled with a different memory, that you're going to take with you forever. And even the ones, and even sometimes, sometimes people are like, well, I don't remember every single thing that I did every single day, right? But
Yeah.
but whatever it is that you did that day, right, always impacts and fosters another memory that maybe came before it or after it. It just I don't know, it's a beautiful thing. And I just think music, live music, and just art and creativity in general, it's just truly what the world needs. I mean, we need more of that. We need more artists to emerge and just bring a lot of beauty and joy into our world, and to allow our senses to experience something different and in unique ways, that are uplifting and engaging, and makes us feel more connected, because I think right now we all need to feel more connected.
Absolutely, we do. Jennifer writes, Jake, loved your opening for Jimmy Buffett at Wrigley Field. Yeah.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Kiana checking in from Maui says, here on Maui, we love Jake. Well, we love Jake everywhere, I have to say that.
Thank you.
Hula Steph says, hooray for Jake. And Karen writes in that California is lucky to have Jake doing so many venues. And I would agree with Karen that you're bringing aloha on your tour. You're bringing joy to so many people. Thanks for coming to California. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you. No, it truly is my honor, and and I'm just so grateful that we get to do this, and I love it. It's my passion, and so I love it.
Well, I'm a huge fan, as you can probably tell, and I will remember this day forever. So thank you for coming by the Mark Thompson Show. And if people want to go check you out, I would say even if there's a waiting list, sign up for it. It is worth it. And keep your eye on Jake Shimabukuro tour dates, because it's not just this year. You probably will be back soon. So there's always an opportunity to catch him playing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Jake, thanks for coming by. Have a great rest of your day, and stay warm.
I will.
Aloha.
Aloha. Take care. All
Bye.
right.
Bye. Jake Shimabukuro, everybody. Thank you for being here. What an absolute treat. Well, Tony, what do you think? We should do some news, I guess. And then I have a great edition, I should say, of Law and Disorder. I also have a That's Rich coming up. Yeah, I heard you say something.
Oh, and I said, okay.
Okay.
I'll be ready.
Okay. A man of few words, my friend Tony. All right. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of news here on The Mark Thompson Show. On The Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by Coachella Valley Coffee, I would add, and tea, although the website is CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. We'll talk about tea in just a moment. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky is meeting with President Biden today to discuss U.S. aid in the war with Russia. Zelensky also met with congressional leaders as President Biden's proposed aid package remains stalled on Capitol Hill. Now, Republicans have pushed back on this bill, which includes funding for Israel, unless Democrats agree to tougher border policies. The Israel-Hamas war now in its 67th day. This comes as the United Nations General Assembly is set to vote today on an immediate humanitarian ceasefire. Around 90% of Gaza's population has been displaced since this war began on October 7th. Many economists think the Federal Reserve will start cutting interest rates as early as June. More than half of the 35 experts taking part in a new CNBC Fed survey believe that will be the case, with that number rising to nearly 70% by July. They also put the odds of a recession at about 41%, which is down 8 points from the October survey. So there you go. 1 in 5 Black voters say they would prefer to vote for someone else other than President Biden or former President Trump next year. This is a survey by Gen Forward. It first reported by Politico today, shows trouble for President Biden's potential second term since Black voters were crucial to his 2020 win. All charges against former Michigan Governor Rick Snyder in the Flint water case are being tossed out. The Michigan Supreme Court denied a last-ditch attempt from Attorney General Dana Nessel's office to keep those charges in place. The charges against Snyder and 8 others fell apart when the state's high court ruled that Nessel's use of a one-judge grand jury to bring charges was absolutely improper. So again, all charges of former Michigan Governor Rick Snyder in that Flint water case are now being tossed out. So the question is, will anybody ever be held accountable for that? And I have to say, it's frustrating to say, probably not. Wait times are soaring at an eastern border crossing. Crossing this border from Mexico into the United States on foot is seeing a big jump in wait times. The full closure of the Ped West border crossing is causing alternate crossing site Ped East's wait times to soar. People crossing the border are reportedly waiting in line 4 to 5 hours. Lines are stretching all the way to Tijuana's easy parking lot. The Ped West border crossing, about a half a mile away, has been temporarily closed to allocate resources to process an increase in migrants. So this in San Diego, where wait times to get into the United States apparently jumping. There is a veterinarian from California now being named a national hero. His name is Dr. Quan Stewart, called the Street Vet. And he's called CNN's 2023 Hero of the Year now. Along with his day job in San Diego Animal Clinic, Stewart is walking the streets to care for pets who live with homeless owners. The top 10 finalists of the CNN 2023 Hero of the Year included Stewart. Each will win $10,000. As the hero, he wins another $100,000. And in a surprise move, in his acceptance speech, he says he's sharing that money with all of the finalists. Street vets volunteer their time throughout Southern California. And it just reminds me of something Jake Shimabukuro said, is do at least one act of kindness a day. Here's somebody doing a lot more than that, and who we know now is being recognized for it. So what a lovely thing that is. In the Monterey area, there's a suspect who kept people locked in their Santa Cruz homes, now behind bars. Deputies conducted a door-to-door search yesterday in the area of Glenwood and May Avenues in the Santa Cruz area, where police say this man ran off after a traffic stop turned into a chase. All nearby neighborhoods were told to shelter in place. Quite a scene. The 48-year-old man eventually arrested. He is accused of attacking a Los Gatos police officer last week. So it's pretty scary. Hollister, the city of Hollister, getting $1 million to make the roadways safer there. This is a federal grant used to conduct traffic studies around schools in the area. It is expected to start in the spring. The city manager in Hollister says congestion is really bad outside of some schools. And so a plan will now be created to find out what improvements need to be made, and then they will approve that and move forward. Little bit of business news now. Regulators are accusing Wells Fargo of mortgage price discrimination. San Francisco-based bank received notice from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau late yesterday. An investigation found significant disparities in how often Black and female borrowers receive pricing discounts compared to other customers. Is anyone surprised? Google has lost an antitrust lawsuit brought by Epic Games. A jury found that Google Play Phone app is an illegal monopoly. The maker of Fortnite and other popular games has been fighting Google and Apple for years over the App Store revenue sharing. Sometimes these internet companies, they take what they want and they leave pennies for the people that are providing the content. Just say that. Intel will live stream its AI Everywhere event on Thursday. The chipmaker expected to announce the launch of its AI-enhanced 5th-gen Xeon and Core Ultra processors. Intel CEO delivering a keynote from NASDAQ in New York City. So big doings over at Intel. And I will tell you that there's been a zoo ruling. This case we've been following here on the Mark Thompson Show regarding elephants in Colorado. A judge is ruling that a Colorado zoo can speak on behalf of its elephants instead of an out-of-state animal rights group. The petition against the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo in Colorado Springs was filed by the Non-Human Rights Project, which claimed the zoo was illegally confining and neglecting its 5 elderly African elephants and demanded they be relocated to a sanctuary. Now an El Paso County District Judge dismissing the case, stating the nonprofit's petition sought to give legal personhood to animals and that the zoo has a better relationship with its elephants than that group does. Racist comments in a Disneyland bathroom caught on a cell phone video have led to the arrest of an activist. Eva Ramirez and her young son were speaking Spanish in a restroom at the happiest place on earth when another woman went on an I hate Mexicans rant. Awful. It stemmed from a disagreement over a bathroom stall. Ramirez shared the video on Instagram, saying she couldn't believe the hatred and the bigotry. Sunday, another cell phone video captured police in Apple Valley arresting activist Alex Enamorado. He and others were protesting outside the home of the woman that was involved in the fight of the bathroom, expressing racist remarks in that bathroom video. It's unclear how they learned of the Disneyland exchange and found the woman's address, but they did. And again, that man now under arrest. And lastly, how much are we spending this holiday season? Well, most Americans who are living paycheck to paycheck say they expect to spend about the same amount or less this holiday season as they did last year. That according to a new Forbes advisor study that says close to half say they'll spend about the same. Nearly 1 in 5 say they plan to tighten their belts. Another 30% of those whose paycheck just covers their living expenses with little left over say they'll actually be spending more. So interesting to see how that will play out this holiday season. I'm sure we'll get the numbers after the fact. This report is sponsored by Coachella Valley Coffee and Tea. And Mark says it's his favorite coffee to the point where he took it on vacation with him. Yes, when he was packing up his clothes, he also packed up a little bag of Coachella Valley coffee to take aboard the cruise ship. Does the cruise ship have coffee? Why, yes. Yes, they do. But it's not Coachella Valley coffee. He has to have it. And I will tell you, they sent me a box of teas to try. And I have already ordered some using Mark T at checkout. I got my 10% off. To give to my mom and sister in their stockings. So I'm really excited to share that with them. Check out CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. There's the holiday blend. I bought some of that too for people that are on my list. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Enter Mark T at checkout. Get your 10% off. It's really fun to see that money come right off your total. And enjoy. This is The Mark Thompson Show. I'm Kim McAllister. This is The Mark Thompson Show. Yes, it is. I promise. I can see Tony in the background. We're going to do it. Well, maybe we won't do it, but I can't tell you. Oh, we're doing it. We're doing it. I knew we could get it done.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Everything is going extremely well.
What he's got going here is a situation.
You people are crazy.
You just don't get it, really. You don't.
I cannot believe it.
It's fantastic.
Thompson, party of four.
What are you doing?
You cannot say you love your country.
Sayonara, sucker. Good day, sir.
Why are you yelling? Seriously, what the
Am I on? I'm on. Yes, I am. It's Kim. I'm filling in for
Sorry.
Mark Thompson. Well, I saw I was talking to myself, and then it said I wasn't on, and I was like, well, okay, I'm just gonna spin my wheels over here. Hi, Tony. How you doing
Hello.
over there, pal?
Totally know what I'm doing. Totally.
Yeah.
Everything's under control. Yep.
It's
no,
all right.
no issues here at all.
Let's just hope he's not watching from the cruise
Oh, he was.
ship
He's already
today.
texted me. He was texting me during the Jake interview.
Oh, what
He's
was
like,
he saying?
bring him a video. You should do this.
Oh.
So he's watching. Hi, Mark. I'm not fucking.
Go have some more pasta at the buffet, my friend. Oh, Lord. All right. Well, I'll give you ample time to get this one together because I have a great rendition, should we say, of Law and Disorder with lots of interesting stories and some capers as well. So here on the Mark Thompson Show, this is Law and Disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people
Pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care.
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law. You're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
Hi, yes. All right. Well, Mark Thompson, if you're watching, sorry, not everything can go perfectly when you're away on the boat, but that's all right. That's all right. We're going to make it happen. All right. Law and Disorder. Mark actually sent me this story, Tony, and this is a story about thieves trying to steal an entire ATM. A whole ATM. It's happened before in the Bay Area, and it happened again. Thieves drove a vehicle right into a San Francisco CVS store, and they stole the ATM inside before they took off. Yeah, it's one of several recent ATM thefts in the city. Officers responding to reports of a burglary at a store on 32nd Avenue in San Francisco just before 3 o'clock in the morning on Friday. The San Francisco Police Department says the CVS spokesperson is saying the truck crashed right into the building at the Outer Richmond store and then made off with the whole entire ATM. 5 people involved in this burglary fled in another vehicle. They haven't been identified as of yet. No arrests made as of Sunday afternoon. But again, look at that. The ATM follows several other heists in San Francisco, including at a Walgreens in the Mission last month, at a Noe Valley donut shop in October. Burglars also drove a truck into a CVS on Portola Drive in September and smashed open an ATM. They were unable to steal anything. I know it happened at a gas station, I think, in the East Bay as well. First of all, Tony, you have to, it's so brazen to smash your truck into a a store. At one point, I don't know if this is how these people stole it, but I saw one report where someone tied a rope around it, like not a rope, but a heavy like iron chain, and then they just yanked it right out of the wall. But once they got it out of the store, they realized that it was so heavy that their truck wouldn't roll with the machine in it. But even if you
didn't have enough towing,
no, and even if you did manage to steal the entire ATM machine, aren't there trackers in those things?
I would hope so.
Right? And then how do you get the money out? Do you just like beat it with hammers and smash it to smithereens until you get to the cash inside?
Hydraulic cutters or something, I would guess. Yeah.
It just seems like an awful lot of work.
These are people who know how those machines are made. And, I'm guessing they've done at least a little research, hopefully.
I'm telling you.
A little planning for the heist.
Well, here's another ATM machine gone. And I wonder if all these thefts of ATM machines will change either how they're installed or where they're allowed to be put.
I mean, who uses cash anymore these days too? So there's just less ATMs out there. I've been seeing less out here. So
yeah, I don't know. You're right. I don't carry a lot of cash, although a lot of people I think still do. So, and sometimes for lottery players, they won't let you buy a ticket without cash. So, you go to the ATM machine in the store, then you get your cash, then you go buy your lottery. I don't know.
Two things are cash only: lottery tickets and donuts.
That's it. Why is donuts? That's totally true. There are a lot of donut places that are cash only.
Well, because I think a lot of those places, you have to pay to have the machine, right? So they're just like, nah, cash.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
cash
guessing.
Only. That's it. This is another incident, this next story about gunfire on a Bay Area freeway. I'm telling you, this is a vehicle that was struck twice by gunfire on Monday. The Alameda County Sheriff's Department calling it a situation of road rage. A 70-year-old man and his dog were riding in a pickup truck when the truck was passed by another vehicle at Foothill Boulevard and Castro Valley Boulevard. The suspect shot the pickup truck twice. The two apparent bullet holes in the truck's bed that's where the shots landed. The victim pulled over to a CHP station on Redwood Road. Looks like the driver and the dog, neither were hurt. No suspect is in custody. The suspect was driving a white or light colored sedan. This is another one of those situations where, have we not had enough of these where people have been injured, children injured? Remember this little boy? His name was Jasper Wu, and he was sitting in the back of a car, and he was shot by an errant bullet, a passing bullet. And he's not the only child that has been injured by gunfire on freeways. So, you may think you're shooting at someone's tire or that you have really great aim. But the fact is that innocent people are being killed by this ridiculousness. So every time I see one of these stories, I get madder and madder. More bullets flying in a place they also shouldn't be flying. This happened in Oakland, where buildings and vehicles were struck by gunfire near Castlemont High School. As Mark likes to say, we are indeed the United States of guns. So police in Oakland investigating this shooting that happened Monday afternoon in the Castlemont neighborhood. Police issue a statement saying they responded to the 8600 block of MacArthur Boulevard because the shot spotter technology went off, saying gunshots had been fired right across the street from Castlemont High School at right before 3 p.m., right, on a Monday afternoon. So right before kids get out of high school for the day. Police describe a chaotic scene of officers arriving to find vehicles and buildings hit by gunfire. Several victims were struck by debris. Emergency medical personnel had to respond out there. No word on whether any victims were seriously injured. Horrible. KTVU got a hold of a couple of dash cam videos from a Citizen app. Both suspects in the video either refer to a lockdown or a shelter in place at a nearby school, likely Castlemont High School. It was a brief lockdown, but still. So just scary that you could have this gunfire and it's like willy-nilly. You're hitting cars, you're hitting buildings, which definitely means you could also be hitting any person that was nearby. Doesn't seem like anyone was injured except by flying debris. So there you have that. I've been following this story in the North Bay. this woman, remember this story, Tony? This momfluencer? She was in a Michael's in Petaluma, and she's kind of the look of her, she has this kind of crazy eye look, kind of a spacey, hazy look where she's not quite all there when you see pictures of her. Her name is Katie Sorensen. And she accused this couple, this Latino couple, of trying to grab her stroller and kidnap her children while she was in Michael's. The video of the incident shows that didn't happen. That wasn't the case. And what's interesting is this Latino couple are parents of their parents, I think of it, I want to say 5 kids at least, maybe 6. And most parents will know that if you have 5 or 6 kids, the last thing you're going to want to do is steal somebody else's. Trust me. But they're parents of one of their children goes to school with my daughter. So I know these people. They're not kidnappers, but okay. So this mom influencer, she's trying to stave off this case as long as possible, but ends up being found, I think she's found liable for 1 count of filing a false police report, and other counts against her are dismissed. And now her lawyer is saying, wait a minute, she never actually filed a false police report. What she did do is she went online and she told her account of this false hoax of a kidnapping story. And when she told it, people were in the community were concerned and said, you need to call the police. Well, I think the police ended up contacting her to see what happened. So she did allegedly give them false information, even though she didn't file technically a false police report, which is what she was convicted of doing. So she was convicted April 26th of 1 misdemeanor count of filing a false police report. But her lawyer contends that she answered questions about her observations of the event and did not knowingly report a crime that never happened. So the lawyer now says simply answering questions and providing information, some of which the prosecution alleged to be false, does not provide sufficient evidence of the offense. And now they want that last charge against her tossed out. Does that mean that she's not held accountable for hurling these false accusations at this couple who clearly did not do what she was accusing them of doing? No. She said during this whole incident that this couple, the Martinezes, followed her through the Michael's craft store before trying to grab her son's stroller in the parking lot. She did call a dispatcher minutes after this alleged attempt and then was interviewed by a police officer right after. But neither of those conversations led to a formal investigation. When her Instagram video came out a week later with details that she did not provide to the dispatcher or the police officer, then police investigators reached out to her. And during that interview, police presented a surveillance photo of the 2 people at Michael's. She identified them as the couple she claimed tried to take her kids. Investigators, of course, concluded the Martinezes did nothing wrong and it was a made-up story. So, I mean, I don't want her to get off on a technicality. She needs to be held accountable and she needs to have a record for doing that type of thing. So did she technically file a police report? She told the police incorrect information. Is that not enough? It should be enough. This is a bizarre story. A burglar with a penchant for stealing women's underwear is stalking Denver's Park Hill neighborhood. Locals are calling the bandit the Park Hill panty thief, and they say he breaks into houses just to steal undergarments. The thief reportedly ignores valuables that most burglars would take, including electronics, money, medication. No, he doesn't take that. He goes right for the panties. A home security camera captured a possible image of the suspect, but the man in the video hasn't been identified. People living in the Park Hill area are calling on police to catch this panty thief. They say he probably will not stop until he is caught. And here's the thing. You think it seems like, who cares? Some guy takes your panties. Not a big deal. But because I watched a little Law and Order SVU, Tony, it's an escalating situation where, you may have a low level perv, but then they graduate from taking the panties to then doing other stuff like, physical assault
they get
and things.
emboldened, or they need the next level, right?
The next level up. They level up. So catch the panty thief while he's just a panty thief. Absolutely. Because no. Mm-mm. Yeah. You think he's just a panty thief now, but there's a problem with that. All right. This has been Law and Disorder.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
All right. How about a little more news? And then I have put together a really good That's Rich. You're not going to believe some of the things in here. So a little bit of news here on The Mark Thompson Show, and we'll get right to That's Rich. You okay with that, Tony? Yeah? Looks good to you? Excellent. You're muted again, but that's all right. We'll move forward with it. Here you go.
Here we go. News.
Woohoo! We're getting it done. That's right. Getting it done on the Mark Thompson Show. Yes. I'm Kim McAllister, in for Mark Thompson, although he's probably now trying to take a helicopter off the boat to come back to Los Angeles to do the show himself. This report is sponsored by Tenuta Vineyards in Livermore. President Biden is calling on Congress to pass his request for Ukraine funding before the holiday recess. He said failing to do so would give Russian President Vladimir Putin the greatest Christmas gift they could give him. The President Biden made his remarks in the Oval Office alongside Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, who earlier today was on Capitol Hill making a direct plea to lawmakers for more support. The United Nations General Assembly is set to vote today on whether or not to demand an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in the war between Israel and Hamas. 2 U.S. officials say there's limited hope in the Biden administration that the United States can create another pause in the fighting between the Palestinian militant group and Israeli forces. The House Rules Committee is meeting ahead of a vote to authorize the impeachment inquiry into President Biden. Massachusetts Democrat Jim McGovern accusing his Republican colleagues of carrying out a sham impeachment. Oklahoma Republican Tom Cole, meanwhile, said the inquiry needs to be formalized to enforce subpoenas and pursue the information needed to look into accusations against the president. Oh, George Santos, back in the news. His time as a congressman might be over, but his legal troubles do continue. The former Long Island congressman back in federal court where he is facing fraud and other identity theft charges. But there are reports that he is in talks for a possible plea deal while prosecutors ask the judge to move his trial date up from September to June. Former President Trump is introducing new digital trading cards called the Mugshot Edition. I can't even. He wrote in a Truth Social post, the new cards follow his previous Trump digital trading cards, which are NFTs. Are we not done with that yet? That were met with excitement and success. He says buying 47 cards, that's how many you have to buy, 47, will earn customers a piece of the suit that he wore in the photo, along with an invite to a gala dinner with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Okay, right. Broadcasting legend Al Michaels is being pulled from NBC's NFL playoff coverage. NBC Sports Vice President Greg Hughes confirming the news to the New York Post. Michaels was set to call one of NBC's playoff games next month as an alternate. That will not happen. And now, he's being pulled, and that is that. Some California-based news now. In Marina del Rey, 2 firefighters are injured after battling a fire at the California Yacht Club in Marina del Rey. That fire reported at about 11:30 last night. Both firefighters are hospitalized. No updates yet on their condition. That yacht club was founded near San Pedro in 1922. The facility that caught fire was built in 1967. At this point, they don't know exactly what touched it off. A Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department lieutenant is suing Sheriff Robert Luna. Lieutenant Sean O'Donnell claims Luna formed what he called a hit squad within the administration to retaliate against him and other members of the department who supported former Sheriff Alex Villanueva. The lawsuit alleges whistleblower retaliation, discrimination, harassment, violations of the state labor code as well. O'Donnell is seeking unspecified compensation. A former Kaiser nurse who claims she was retaliated against for complaining about staffing levels and patient safety has been awarded nearly $41.5 million. A Los Angeles Superior Court jury agreed Kaiser Foundation Hospitals fired Maria Gachalian for speaking up. The panel granted Gachalian about $11.5 million in compensatory damages and $30 million in punitive damages. Gachalian worked for the Woodland Hills Kaiser Permanente Hospital from 1989 until she was fired in 2019. So, hopefully maybe that's enough for Kaiser to feel some pain. And the next time somebody speaks up about safety issues, maybe they won't be so hasty or so quick to fire that person. That's what we can hope. A record number of travelers will be hitting Southern California freeways this holiday season. I would argue that happening in Northern California as well. But the Auto Club of Southern California predicts 9.5 million residents will either hit the road or fly out of town for Christmas and the New Year's holidays. And that's a 3% increase over last year. December 23rd through January 1st expected to be the busiest days, but LAX is already getting crowded. The top destinations for Southern California travelers are Las Vegas, San Diego, California's Central Coast, Palm Springs, and also the Grand Canyon as well. We talked about this a little earlier, but the special counsel prosecuting Donald Trump plans to use the former president's cell phone data as evidence during his federal election interference trial. Special counsel Jack Smith, in a court filing Monday, indicated he will call expert witnesses to speak to a trove of data extracted from Trump's cell phone used during his time in the White House. The data could provide a detailed layout of Trump's behavior leading up to the 2021 U.S. Capitol riot. Smith is prosecuting Trump over his alleged efforts to stay in power after losing the 2020 election. And again, Smith recently called on the Supreme Court to make a decision on whether or not Trump is immune from prosecution for the alleged crimes committed or allegedly committed while he was in office. More evidence of anti-Semitism, and this time in Smithtown, New York, with anti-Semitic graffiti being found in a school in Smithtown. The Smithtown School District superintendent said a swastika was found on a stool at Smithtown High School in the school's library. Police are investigating. Charges could be filed. Just last month, a swastika was found etched into a desk at Smithtown High School East. So it seems they've got a problem there. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is reacting to a recent poll that shows only 28% of voters approve of the job he's doing. The mayor says he respects that New Yorkers are feeling angry, partly because of the budget cuts and migrant crisis, which he blames mostly on the federal government. However, he says his administration is successful, pointing to a drop in crime, a rise in jobs, and economic recovery from the pandemic. The Quinnipiac poll showing 30% believe he did something unethical related to an investigation into his 2021 mayoral campaign. The mayor insists he follows the rules, says there are political opportunists and that they are out to get him. Okay, we'll see how that works out for you. Seems like it's always somebody else's fault, but all right. Everybody needs their day in court. We'll see how that works out. This case where House Republicans are slamming Harvard for keeping now their president, Claudine Gay, New York Republican Elise Stefanik calling this decision a moral failure of Harvard leadership. Gay has faced calls for her ouster for her answer to questions about whether calls for the genocide of Jews violates the university's code of conduct. Stefanik led the questioning during a congressional hearing on anti-Semitism on college campuses last week. Elizabeth McGill resigned as the president of the University of Pennsylvania over the weekend after she also faced some backlash. So, yeah. Did you guys hear that a couple days ago it was breakup day, big breakup day. And I don't know, we don't have the numbers yet on how many people broke up on breakup day, but we do know that it apparently, according to Facebook data, that yesterday or the day before, Tony, I'm not sure, it was breakup day. Speaking of people being unhappy, Georgia has the unhappiest employees. A new study shows Georgia employees are the unhappiest in the nation. Select Software Reviews recently compiled a ranking which measures things like commute times, working hours, quit rates, and paid time off. High commute times and the highest quit rate in the country pushed Georgia to the very bottom of the list. Workers in Alaska turned out to be the happiest. You'd think working out there in that chilly weather, you wouldn't be the happiest, but apparently that's not the case. So they need to do better by their workers out in Georgia. You can get your picture taken with Santa at Tenuta Vineyards in Livermore. Just a weekend or so left of this. Here's Santa to tell us more about it.
Happy holidays to the Mark Thompson Show. Mark, Kim, Albert, Tony, all the listeners. Tenuta Vineyards here in Livermore. Santa, that's me. I'm here every Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 3 p.m. Pictures with Santa are free. We can't thank you enough for all your support. And we just love the Mark Thompson Show. We love Mark, Kim, Albert, Tony, everybody. So just have a happy and safe holiday season. And we hope to see you out here at Tenuta. Call my friend Rich. His number is 925-699-4576. Thanks. Happy holidays.
Yeah, having your picture taken with Santa out at Tenuta Vineyards sounds pretty fun. And I will say, this Why Are You Yelling Red is really one of my favorites. So at Tenuta, you have the Why Are You Yelling Red? You also have the Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson Pinot Grigio, as I manhandle my Tenuta wine over here. I love them all. I want them all for myself. You get 10% off just for being a loyal listener of the Mark Thompson Show. 925-699-4576. You have to say the so-called phrase that pays, which is smash it with your iron rod. And when you say that to Rich at 925-699-4576, he'll give you 10% off of your purchase.
With your iron rod.
That's right. Say it just like that. And he does say that if you want the wine for your holiday table, and I do, so I'll be bringing this one to the holiday table, then you've got to order it quickly so they can ship it to you in time. All right. And also go out to the winery and pick it up yourself. It's amazing out there. Really fun. I'm Kim McAllister. This is The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show. The Mark Thompson Show.
I am so grateful, in a rare moment of sincerity, Kim, if I can say. I'm so grateful for all the days that you've taken on the mantle of hosting this show and all the newscasts you've done and all the chiming in you've done and all the fact-checking you've done. And the way you ride herd over the chat and issue the newly invented yellow cards to... I think you're a little too heavy-handed. I kind of would let a lot of stuff go, but you like to...
This was really nice until you just hit that sore spot.
You
sorry. Had to go there. You had to stick it right there.
I'm unvarnished in my feelings. I don't like things that are just pat and, pretend feelings. I like things that are real. And so that's what you get on this show. It's authentic. So I was just reviewing things and I was thanking you. And I thought, well, you're a little heavy-handed. I think you block a lot of people,
Yeah, a little bit.
But there are a lot of people who feel that you appropriately block them. So I'm not saying that you're doing anything wrong per se.
Sorry, not sorry.
So, Kim, the point is, thank you for the many hours that you've spent hosting the show, now in the captain's chair, and for providing us direction and providing us factual information. So
thank you for all the great interviews you've done and for bringing us the David Katz interviews and the David Cay Johnston interviews and Jim Avila and Michael Schur. It's been a really great year. And we've got a presidential election in 2024 as we head into the new year. It's a perfect place on the Mark Thompson Show to stay informed.
It's true. We have a lot in the new year. And even as court cases continue and political machinations of one sort or another continue to affect possible outcomes, there's a lot to get to, and hopefully some fun along the way. Mostly, I thank all of our listeners and viewers for supporting us in the ways they do. So,
thank you,
Kim,
everyone.
Going to be a great year ahead. Happy New Year, everybody. Health
if
and
you ever make it
happiness
back.
in
Jesus.
the new year.
Oh, it is the Mark Thompson Show. I'm Kim McAllister. That's Tony over there. What, over there? Yeah, over there. Hey, Tony.
Hey.
How about a little That's Rich to wind up the Mark Thompson Show before we hit the after party?
Who are they?
The top 1/10 of 1%.
What are they like?
These people are so posh and snobby, they're snotty.
That's Rich on the Mark Thompson Show.
Speaking of Rich, I have to say immediately, I just saw this pop up. Maud with a $25 contribution to the Mark Thompson Show. Thank you, Maud. Yay! We really appreciate it. It's, it's one of these things where we just rely on you guys. And I know it's so different than the old way of doing radio where we didn't have to worry about it. But when you contribute like Maud just did, we are so grateful and touched by it. You can see on the bottom of the screen, Tony has the markthompsonshow.com information.
Any opportunity,
up.
I'll throw it up real fast.
That's right, where we get the PayPal and the Patreon links. It's all there. So thank you so much for that. And thank you, Maud, for the contribution today. Okay. Speaking of money, honey, 80-year-old billionaire Nicholas Puch, he is a scion of the iconic fashion dynasty Hermès. I'll take Maud down, even though I don't want to. He is orchestrating what they're calling a staggering succession saga that involves adopting his 51-year-old gardener and awarding this gardener $11 billion. 5.9 million of that is in properties. I guess if you like your gardener better than you like your relatives.
Exactly.
Sometimes.
How awful was his kids beat him? He's like, the gardener's getting everything.
You know what? Maybe those kids were rotten. Maybe. Or maybe he was the final slap in the face. 80-year-old billionaire Nicholas Puch of Hermès, allegedly orchestrating this succession saga. He is unmarried. He's without children. He plans to legally designate his former gardener and handyman from a modest Moroccan family as his rightful heir. This is reported by Tribune de Genève, a Swiss publication. So it's being called an unorthodox move to pass on his immense wealth and his real estate properties to his gardener. He is Puch, a fifth-generation descendant of Thierry Hermès, who laid the foundation for the luxury fashion house in 1837. He commands a considerable share in the now $220 billion, that's how much it's valued at, this company, ranking among Switzerland's wealthiest individuals, an estimated worth of about $10.3 billion to $11.4 billion. So Puch has initiated legal proceedings supported by a legal team to formalize the gardener's adoption. I guess you can adopt a 54-year-old man, which forms a crucial part of his revised estate arrangements. The gardener is reportedly married to this woman from Spain with 2 children of their own and stands to inherit a significant portion of Puch's fortune, which includes acquiring substantial properties in Marrakesh, Morocco, and Montreux, Switzerland, valued at almost $6 million. Apparently, this choice of heir, he's not saying much about the motivation behind it, but we do know that there was quite a rift that happened in 2014 when LVMH, which is a luxury conglomerate that kind of rivals this, acquired a substantial stake in Hermès, sparking a fight within the family. Puch's departure from the company board amid this whole fight signaled irreparable discord with his family. And so now they get nothing. You get nothing. He resigned because he has felt for several years beleaguered by members of his family who have attacked him on several fronts. His unconventional plan faces legal challenges, as you could imagine, navigating complicated legal hurdles for an adult adoption, which is an exceedingly rare occurrence in Switzerland. So, yeah, this is going to be a legal fight. It's going to be ugly, but he is saying right now, this is what he wants, right? So I don't know how you fight when someone is saying, this is what I want to do. You know?
It's his money, I guess, right?
The gardener is 51 years old. And I just think Pooch should be able to do whatever he wants to do with his money. 80 years old. Just because you're blood related to the guy doesn't mean that, you know, he has to give you anything at all. This is a story about gifts for the rich. Ho, ho, ho for the rich amongst us. Yeah. Holiday gifts for the ultra rich include a $76,000 horsehair mattress. Why not? Or what about an animated Disney video that is personalized just for you? I mean, for the person that has everything, why not? Come on now. These are some of the things that are being listed for gift ideas for the wealthy. Neiman Marcus is offering this package in which Walt Disney Animation Studios will create a custom animated short video featuring you as the main character, or whoever you want to be the main character. The buyer gets to voice their character, tour Disney Studios, and attend a Disney film premiere in Hollywood. It'll only cost you $510,000. That's it. The Neiman Marcus also offering a $485,000 luxury yacht trip in Indonesia. It comes with fun times like kayaking through crystalline lagoons, diving among kaleidoscopic coral reefs. This is a 9-day package, covers 6 guests, and includes a $150,000 voucher redeemable for high-end jewelry at Neiman Marcus.
Of course.
I mean, that looks fun. I don't know if that's better than the cruise Mark Thompson's on. It's kind of too expensive.
Where's the buffet? I don't see.
Where's the buffet? Well, no buffet. We're out. That's it. $485,000 for that. The Robb Report is a magazine for the wealthy. They're offering a $750,000 deal in which 6 guests can spend a week foraging and cooking in the Cayman Islands with a celebrity chef, Eric Ripert, the mastermind behind Le Bernardin, which is a high-end restaurant in New York, where a chef's tasting menu with wine starts with tuna tartare and sea urchin toast and will cost you $480. But again, the foraging and cooking trip, that'll cost you $750,000. And of course, you know, there's always the horsehair mattress, the $76,000 horsehair mattress. It's crazy. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You imagine wasting money on these things. No. Although, this might be kind of nice, Tony. If you won the lottery, maybe you would want a branded residence, like a Porsche penthouse or an Armani apartment. This is the new trend amongst the rich. Branded residences in the Americas are expected to double by 2030. Real estate developers eager to partner with luxury retailers, I can say that, I promise, to deliver. The list of amenities at Armani Casa in Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, include interior designs directed by the fashion house head, Giorgio Armani himself, curated museum-quality art collections on top of a private restaurant, a gym, spa, movie theater, lounge, cigar, and wine room. That's nice. One real estate broker with the agency who bought an apartment in the building that is near Miami said it's not all the over-the-top amenities that turned his head, it was the brand. This name added a lot of value to the building itself. Will the people be more intrigued to speak about a brand building versus a no-name building? He says it is a smart concept. There are 40 projects similar to the Armani Casa in Florida. Apparently, it's a hot market for branded residences. Top 15 location of these kinds of homes in the Americas, expected to double by 2030. It's not just the Armani apartment. Again, it's the Porsche penthouse. So you find a luxury brand, and apparently it's like carrying around your, brand name purse. Where do you live? Oh, I live in the Yves Saint Laurent suites. I live in the Bentley Lodge, whatever it may be. So, that's the latest thing for the rich amongst us, or not amongst us. Here's something you could do if you have some money, Tony. You could rent the Beverly Hills home that once was lived in by Elvis and Priscilla Presley. How much do you think it'll cost you to rent this house? Anybody in the chat? Well, it's a 4-bedroom residence. It's in Beverly Hills. It was the couple's starter home. They bought it in 1967, and now you can rent it out per month. Any guesses as to how much that'll cost you per month? Let's see in the chat. Yeah. 350,000, says Liz. That's a little too much, but good guess. 25,000. All right, Tom, I'll go ahead and give it to you. It is $30,000. Well, $29,995 per month to rent out this former home of Elvis and Priscilla Presley. $30,000 a month. They have a recent facelift. They've freshened it up. French Regency Estate is what it is, kind of a French theme. Sits on a little more than an acre. It's behind private gates on a cul-de-sac. It has a very long driveway, a 4-car motor court, an attached guest house. It's got hardwood floors, massive windows, lofty ceilings, and a white-on-white palette. The main bedroom is understandably opulent, with coffered ceilings, fireplaces, and skylights. Stainless steel appliances line the kitchen, along with new flooring, new electrical components, a spacious patio outside with a fireplace, a pool, a spa. Elvis didn't live here very long, it turns out. The Presley's only child, Lisa Marie Presley, died this year. She was born while they lived there. Elvis and Priscilla broke up, later divorced. The house sold in 1973. And now I guess the people that own it are capitalizing on renting it out month to month because it was at one time his house. So there you go. You stay in Elvis's house and get a little touch of the past there. I think we might be able to do one more. Can we do the yacht show? Let's do the yacht show because, nothing speaks that's rich like a nice yacht. The annual yacht show, only attended by a handful of customers, say, wait a minute, these big yachts now, they have a pretty big carbon footprint, but the people that can afford these yachts, they don't seem to care very much. This Monaco yacht show is one of the greatest concentrations of wealth in the world. They call it the ultimate gathering of maritime luxury. It takes place in this tax haven where 2 out of 3 residents are millionaires. When the Guardian newspaper visited in late September, the port was filled with more than 100 super yachts. Some of them boasted submersibles and swimming pools. Visitors could book airport transfers in private jets and helicopters. The true cost of such luxury apparently is paid for by the rest of society. The top 10% of earners in the EU emit 24.5 times as much planet heating CO2 through their transport as the bottom 10% do. That's the complaint about this. The billionaires' consumption of emissions run to the thousands of tons a year with transport, including these private jets and yachts, which are by far the biggest contributor, according to Oxfam's new report on carbon inequality. Transport, especially car use, a major factor of the disproportionately high emissions of the richest 10%, with 100 of these, with these emissions 20 to 40 times higher among the poorest 10% in major nations and blocs, including the EU. But in interviews with 50 visitors to the Monaco Yacht Show, from brokers to buyers and suppliers and sellers, yacht enthusiasts painted a picture of an industry taking small steps to clean up amid growing public pressure. Only a handful of owners and customers said they were troubled by the disproportionate emissions. You know, they say it's something to worry about, but then again, there are so many problems we can't fix. If I can't solve it myself, then I just can't stress too much about it. So I'll just buy this super yacht and worry about it later. Yeah. And that, my friends, that's rich.
More on how the other half lives.
These people aren't just rich, they're crazy rich.
Next time on The Mark Thompson Show.
Yep. A huge thank you to $1 a Day Pinky for supporting the Mark Thompson Show. Huge thank you to you. And again, thank you to Maud for that $25 contribution to the show. It's been a good one. David Cay Johnston was awesome. Jake Shimabukuro, really cool interview as well.
Way cool.
What's Mark saying? Is he complaining too much?
He hasn't texted in a while, so it must be fine.
Thank God. All right.
Or he's given up on us completely. One of the two.
One of the two. It's all right. Tomorrow, John Rothman will be on the show. So really excited about that. Also, we'll have a little holiday cheer we'll bring in as well. I hope that you will join us. Please stay tuned for the After Party Live. That is coming up next on the Mark Thompson Show. What are you saying?
So the link is in the chat.
Oh, the link is thank you. The link is in the chat for the After Party Live. Huge thank you for spending the Mark Thompson Show hours with me today, and Tony as well. I'm looking at the chat. Rich people are stupid too. Pretty much it. Yeah. I'm sure they give a rat. Yeah, good chats. Good participation from the chat today. Thank you guys for being here, for participating, and I will see you all tomorrow on the Mark Thompson Show. And until then, Tony, have a great afternoon.
See you.
I will see you.
Did we talk this up? We got to talk it up, right? We got to wait till the ending, right? So there we go. Thank you, Shadow.
I knew it was close.
It's coming. We're close.
Bye-bye, everybody.
See you, everyone.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow on the Mark Thompson Show.